Personal protection. We use it, and we see it in a lot of places every day. But I don't have to tell you that jobs in industry are like that. You know to get the job done, you need the right people, the right tools, the right materials, and the right kinds of protection. And doing a job right can be very satisfying. But getting injured, well, it's something we all try to avoid. That's why you know you need safety equipment, like hard hats, safety glasses, steel-toed boots. If your job requires them, it wouldn't make sense not to use them. But did you know there is something that can harm you on the job? That safety equipment, like hard hats, safety glasses, just can't stop. You can't see it. You might not even know it's harming you. I'm talking about noise. The noise can be an incredibly powerful force. If it's loud enough, or if it's at the right pitch. Let me give you an example. Anti-terrorist forces have recently added a new weapon to their arsenal. It's called a stun grenade. It's noise, a lot of it, and it's very effective. Stops a person cold, stuns them, makes them helpless long enough to be subdued. When noise is concentrated like that, it's just too much for a person to withstand. But noise doesn't have to be that concentrated to do a lot of damage to a person. If it's loud and steady, like you find in many industrial jobs, it can cause plenty of problems, especially for unprotected hearing. Noise attacks hearing. It'll keep at it until your hearing is worn down or even destroyed. Noise has the power to do it, but you don't have to let it. Think of noise as an opponent, a tough and relentless opponent, but one that can be overcome with effort, and commitment, and teamwork. Working company can beat noise. The company will provide you the weapons to fight noise. And to stop the damage it can do to your hearing. How? With these hearing protection devices. If you use them, wear them correctly, keep them clean and in good shape, noise can be beaten. Hearing protection will do the job against noise, but it won't do you any good unless you use it. And you need to use it whenever you're exposed to excessive noise, not just some of the time. Think of these protective devices as just as important as your hard hat or your safety glasses, because they are. Your company will offer you a selection of devices all designed to be safe in your work environment and to be instructed in how to use them. Your choice may include muffs. They're basically padded cushions that cover the ear. Or earplugs. They come in a variety of shapes and types. The proper fitting of earplugs is especially important. They have to be comfortable so you can wear them all through your shift. And because earplugs are worn inside the ear, they have to fill the ear canal completely. Otherwise, they just won't do the job. The simple fact is that individual ear canals are different in size and shape. So earplugs come in different shapes and sizes too. Some come in one size that can be rolled and allowed to expand or fill the ear canal. Others come in several different standard sizes. And if none of these fit right, you may even get your plugs custom made. The company will not only provide the different types, sizes, and shapes of devices necessary for your work, it'll also give you expert assistance to be sure they fit properly, plus advice on their use, care, and cleaning. If you work around loud noise, using this protection is the best way to avoid permanent hearing damage. Now, there are some things you should know about hearing loss, some things you may not have heard before. Hearing loss is a long-term thing. It happens so gradually that a person hardly notices that it's happening. It's like losing a few pennies a day out of a savings account. It may not amount to much from day to day, but a few years later, it'll make a big difference.
Regular savings account at 7%, you might be interested in a money market certificate at 13%.
I didn't quite hear what you said. Do you mind repeating it, please?
Okay.
Another thing about hearing is called bounce back. Many of us have had the experience of being around a lot of noise, say at a loud party, and then feeling a little deaf for a while. After some time passes, the deafness goes away and our hearing is fine. It bounces back. That's because our ears are capable of protecting our hearing from occasional loud noise. But they can't stand up to constant loud noise, day after day, week after week, year after year. Eventually, the hearing can't bounce back anymore.
How much noise is too much for the unprotected ear? Well, there's a way of measuring the loudness of sound using a unit called a decibel. A regular conversation is usually about 65 decibels. That's a pretty normal level of sound. When you get noise that's well over 100 decibels, then it's not just loud. It's probably getting painful. Now, thank goodness we're not subjected to that kind of noise all the time, because we just couldn't take it. What we really have to look out for is not so obvious. It's a steady level of 85 to 100 decibels or more, particularly if it's combined with lots of impact sounds, sharp, occasional noises like a beam dropping or a press operation. When noise stays at a constant level in these ranges, it may not sound as impressive as an explosion, but over a period of time, things get critical. The steady pounding wears down the ear's ability to protect your hearing. In time, like a basketball that begins to lose its air, your hearing bounces back less and less. And that's when permanent damage can occur, unless protection is used. But how are you going to know if the noise level in your workplace is too high? Well, this is the kind of thing that the company will be taking responsibility for. It'll be conducting scientific measurements of noise levels in your work area. If the noise is too great, you'll be told to wear hearing protection. Also, signs will be posted in noisy areas indicating where you must wear hearing protection. The company will work to reduce noise at its sources. As old machines wear out, they'll look for quieter models to replace them. And engineering controls, such as enclosures, will be installed when possible to do so. Especially important are the company's hearing tests for new employees and those personnel who work in noisy areas. Hearing problems can have a number of origins that have nothing to do with noise. They can also be caused by noise that's not related to work at all. For example, doing a lot of shooting without ear protection can cause damage to your hearing. So these tests can be very helpful in identifying hearing problems that already exist or which may be developing.
Hearing loss caused by noise results in shifts and deficiencies in the ability to hear certain sounds. Usually high-pitched sounds are the first to go. Things like a telephone ringing, a whistle blowing. Or a person may have trouble hearing the notes in some types of music. They become dull, throbbing, rolling sounds. Softer sounds are difficult to hear. For instance, a fish breaking water. A dog in the brush. A child's voice. Only when the damage is so great that it becomes difficult to understand speech does the victim begin to notice. At that point, consonants like S's and T's just disappear from other people's voices. The result is not hearing some sounds at all, and hearing others that seem fuzzy and not understandable. Words seem to run into each other, and voices merge with background noise. People with this kind of hearing loss kid themselves when they say they can still hear. They can, sort of, but only the sounds that are still left to them. So it won't do much good for other people to talk louder to them, or to turn up the volume, or even to get a hearing aid. All that usually happens is the sounds that can be heard get louder. The others can't be heard because they're just not there anymore.
It's too loud.
So it's the quality of hearing that's lessened by hearing loss. And that also expresses how it affects the individual. It's the quality of life that suffers. People with hearing loss are handicapped. They can't communicate as well as they used to. They may begin to feel helpless. They're isolated and left out of everyday life, as if they were locked in silence or in a prison of sounds without meaning.
Would it be possible for a person with good hearing to imagine what hearing loss might be? Well, there are some realistic examples from situations we've all experienced. For instance, when you yawn, sometimes you can't hear quite right for a while. Or if you get water in your ears. Or if you catch a cold, sometimes your hearing is affected until the cold clears up. Hearing is one of the 5 basic senses. When one of them is changed, even temporarily, it's not very pleasant.
Remember when you last had a cold? How food had little taste or smell? Think about how your sense of touch was affected by freezing weather. And try looking through a drink bottle and see how well you get around. How would your life be if these conditions were permanent? Probably it would be very difficult.
Hearing loss is permanent, and it can make life just as difficult. But noise damage can be prevented, and it can be kept from getting worse if action is taken in time. What it takes to beat noise is a team effort. Your company working to lessen noise, to measure it, study it, and then supplying the weapons to fight it. And your role is the final and most important role, using hearing protection. Now, you'll hear some people complain about hearing protection. They say it's uncomfortable, it hurts, it's harder to hear, or it's hard to get the workout. But if you'll take the time to do it right, then none of that is true. It's like buying a new pair of shoes. They have to fit right, and you have to get used to them. And it might take a couple of weeks to get used to earplugs, but after a while, you'll find yourself forgetting they're there. And you can still hear people talking to you. The things you need to hear, like safety alarms, loudspeakers, other workers and the like, you'll still hear them.
Eddie Coon.
The things you don't want to hear, the harmful noise, will be filtered out. The fact is, after wearing hearing protection for a while, you may find that you notice noise a lot more when you don't have your protection on. Now, that's a good sign. It means the protection is doing the job it's supposed to, protecting your hearing. It's never too late to start using hearing protection either. Even if you've lost some hearing ability already, you still have the power right now to stop it from getting any worse. And if you still have all of your hearing, you can make sure that any future loss is of a kind we all get from growing older.
If you take charge of protecting your own hearing right now, it means you'll always have more control of your life. Whether you're operating a press, cutting some firewood, running a loom and going to the races, driving a forklift, or hunting for quail. If you're exposed to noise and you're wearing your hearing protection, you're in control.